What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to TwistedYounginz, the most unorthodox show on the globe. And as always, I am one of your hosts, Myra B. King.
And it's your boy Mojo in the building. We have a special guest with us today, sir. Let the people know who you are.
Oh, I'm J.Alexander, Martin Co-Founder of Fubu and co-founder of Forest Bias Network.
Man, that's creative extraordinaire is what you are, sir.
I'm trying.
Long time in the industry.
Congratulations for that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Congratulations for that. Especially like with Fubu being like a major staple in the culture, in hip hop, and entertainment, and just a brand overall. Like I remember growing up seeing Fubu everywhere was something that everybody wanted to be a part of. And I feel like that's actually like what I want to get into in this interview today is like brands are not like that anymore. I feel like at one point it was about the culture and what people stood for. And it wasn't about wearing a brand because of luxury that associates you with money. You know, the people actually make the brand. I remember you saw Fubu in studio sessions, people hanging out in parties, people just walking, basketball courts. It wasn't about, this is, you know, Gucci or Balenciaga. I'm wearing this because this is luxury. No, it was more about, no, this is what it is. This is what we stand for is us. And that's what made the brand. I feel like now you got luxury brands that people have got away from that. And everybody wants to go luxury and associate themselves with the money look. And it's changed the game completely. But I could be wrong about that. That's just like
Well, my opinion to that is, it's always going to be luxury brands. It's always going to be brands that, you know, people deem that, you know, when they grow up, they can't obtain that particular look, or they can't obtain that particular car or whatever it is. It's always going to be that, you know, there's always going to be a high end price point. For us, when we came up, we were pretty much moderate to high end. I guess, yes, of course, you know, it's the point where there's moderate, there's high end, and then there's lower tier. Now, again, you always can trickle up, but you really can't really trickle down. You can trickle down, but you can't trickle up, I should say. In our case, you know, we as African Americans or people in certain cases, you know, if you don't really have the money, you want to go do whatever you got to do to achieve or get that look. I mean, when I was coming up, it was like, look, if you wasn't fresh or you ain't had a gear, you wasn't getting any girls. So, you know, you do that, you try to get money and you try to get that status symbol. Now, reverse to what we came up as far as Fubu is we made us the status symbol and not necessarily what we wore. You know, the fact that you wore that, the symbol is the symbol of who we are and how we all came together and what we've done. That was the status symbol to where now, you know, we don't have those kind of brands, because I look at a lot of people who started clothing companies today, and no disrespect to what someone's trying to start, but it's not a brand yet. You know, if you're 30 years in the game, you're a brand.
I guess more so what I was saying was, I'm sorry, Dave. I guess more so what I was saying as well is that you had people of status rocking the brand regardless if it was luxury. Like you had all the rappers, you had athletes rocking Fubu. You know, you had regular people rocking Fubu, people in the industry, the business that wasn't even a celebrity. And now it's like, it's not like that. It's like it has to be, if it's not, is it Amir or, you know, Balenciaga, you know, they're more so geared towards that versus, long story short, I feel like everybody was on one accord back then, basically. You know, they're like, okay, if this is for us, by us, we're going to go ahead and rock this. If we got everybody rocking it, it's going to be successful because we make it successful, as what you just said. But now it's not like that. You don't have everybody on the same accord. Everybody's going with, this is. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, what you're talking about is true. Like back in the day, one of the biggest breakouts for you guys, I mean, as a company, was the whole LL Cool J and Gap skit. You know, Gap shooting a commercial with LL Cool J, and he rocking the Fubu hat in the, you know, Gap commercial.
You won't find that now.
You will not find that. You will not find a celebrity in a Gucci commercial wearing a Fubu or a Yeezy clothing apparel, something like that. You know, wearing another clothing apparel in a clothing commercial. Those are things that are just expunged from the day. And what you're talking about being on one accord, because you got to think about it. When you guys were coming up as Fubu, you also had Carl Kanai that was out there, and Dapper Dan was making his rise at the same time. I never, growing up, I ain't number 31, but at that time, I don't remember any friction between the three of you guys. I remember going in Value City, and I remember my grandmother cussed me out one time because I wanted a Fubu hoodie, and it was almost $100. She's like, well, I'm not paying $100 for that. But we went into the mall and bought a pair of Timbs for $150. She had no issues with that. She still was mad about it, but she bought those, but she stood on, she wasn't buying a hoodie for $100, things of that nature. Whereas we'll go out, and my older brothers, they were, in the streets, they were getting money. So they would buy, $100, $150, Coogee sweaters, or, Carl Kanai clothing and things like that. They had no issue spending that money. So there is a correlation in between the two of what we're talking about.
And they made it believable, because nowadays celebrities you have a maybe, I don't even want to say just a black brand, but you have a black brand. And when they're out and about, they won't even wear it. Yeah. But back then, the people, they actually wore the Fubu. So it was believable. You had that emotion with it. Oh, okay, this guy that actually got some status, I see him rocking Fubu walking to the store. You know what I mean? But now you won't find nobody in the industry, especially of some status, that actually have like that marketing power. These rappers or singers, you won't catch them doing that now. And actually people behind the scenes, that's a part of their own clothing brand, they won't even rock it, but they'll rock another luxury brand. That's what is confusing to me. And to go ahead.
No, I was just gonna throw a point out there. Well, there's a few people that will pick it up here and there. I think what's happening more so is it's not necessarily the fact that they'll pick it up and wear it. I do celebrate artists like Jay-Z and Pharrell, who actually put Fubu in the song. And there's a countless other people that actually, as of today, or as of like this within the last few years, it puts Fubu in the song and kind of commemorated us. It does get to a point of, maybe it's time for us to kind of, I don't want to say packing our bags, but then look for the next guy to come up and to help them kind of be the next thing. 30 years in the game is a long time. Maybe I need to put my design tools down, or put my, take my hat off and to the next person. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. I like what I see with a lot of other people. I like what I see and the creativity. I like what I see in this, just trying to be an entrepreneur. But I don't really look at others and go, look, well, what about me? I don't really look at that, because again, if you're gonna wear it, you're gonna wear it, and if you're not gonna wear it, you're not gonna wear it. I can't discredit any other high-end brand to bring my brand up. That's just not my style. I'm not that kind of guy. I just kind of mind my business in that respect. But there's enough room for all of us. I know when we first came up, we had, after the fact of Carl Kanai and things like that, there were a ton of other brands, Nietzsche, Cross Color. As Cross Colors was before that, but Nietzsche, a ton of other brands, and we all were actually, like you said, actually really working together. But now we don't really have that. We have little micro brands, maybe somebody has a t-shirt here, maybe somebody has a sweatshirt here. So there's no really big impact. And I think because of, there was a trade show called Magic that we used to do. And that's where we all came together, and we had giant boots and we looked big, and I think that as a consumer, most people want something that they can walk out and go, look, I'm somebody, and I think that maybe in the spirit of us, we lost that, or people lost that feeling of us, because now we want to look at something else and give us credit or validation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So hopefully one day it'll come back to that, because again, and I think too, I'm a little older, so what happens with me is I kind of just sit back and just look at what's going on today, and I think that a lot of this generation today just make kind of, for me, and I'll just throw it out there, I think that they feel like everything started today. And I think that I really wish, as a man, that someone would take what I've done and take it and move it beyond me. Don't go backwards. don't think it started today. No, don't go backwards. I had to go backwards because our forefather was Karl Kani. Like that was the birth of urban fashion as it is today. Cross colors, of course, too. So if someone could take what we've done and still be in business 30 years, but honestly, it's really hard because you need another 30 years. Actually, you're gonna need another 60 years to beat us. You know what I mean? Unless we stop. So let's take what we've done and build it and move it forward and make us the luxury. You know, we can't keep getting validated by somebody else and make it look like. Now I wear everything because I'm a fashion whore. I just love fashion, and I put whatever I want, whatever I have with my own stuff. Sometimes I wear head to toe Fubu because I can. I mean, literally, we have everything from scrubs to socks, to bags, footwear, everything. You know, so any day I could walk around whatever I want, but I also will mix and match with other designers as well because I just feel like I love fashion, so I don't have a problem with that. And again, I won't never bring anybody down to bring myself back up.
No, absolutely. And I believe a lot of things, especially the biggest thing in today's day and age that you guys didn't have to deal with was social media. And the thing that social media has brought into the industry is not only a lot of opinions, but it's also brought in, per se, in an artist perspective, a lot of payola. So a lot of these artists, they have their own clothing brand. Like Myra said, they have clothing brands and they rarely ever wear their own clothing brand because they've been bought out. You know, these companies, these major companies are paying them to advertise their clothing. You know, they're paying them to wear their clothing and things like that. So nowadays you have a lot of artists who've been bought. They can't necessarily step away out of those engagements that they've already predestinated or made previously to them blowing up. Because, you know, they're coming up in the industry. Their first song that they get hot, brands are on them immediately. Boom. They're getting them. They're signing them up for the next 3 to 4 years. So by the time they actually make a hit song and become a household name, they've already got like 10 different brand engagements. So it's hard for them to make their own brand and still be honest about the engagements that they've already made in the past and being true to those engagements by continuing to work with those.
Yeah. Companies. And for example, like I had never heard of I'm not strolling into fashion like that, but I had never heard of Amiri. Am I saying that right?
Amiri.
But I only heard of Amiri when I was watching a Joe Budden podcast, and he always used to have on the hat. So, you know what I mean? That's when I'm like, oh, okay. So this must be, you know, a brand. Then to come to find out, look more into it. I'm like, oh, okay. But something like that, that's just what I'm saying is like how things used to be like a while back. You know, you didn't even have to hit up nobody like, hey, I give you a couple racks just for you to, you know, wear this shirt, wear this. It was just like automatically, now this is what we doing. This is what we own. We're the one who carry the brand. Is exactly what you just said. And that's how it took a wave. It was like a whole wave of it. But it was great. And exactly what you said, you know, you don't discredit anybody else's brand to bring yours up, but at the same time, I don't think you should put your design tools up. You know, you still got Tommy Hilfiger around, Polo Ralph Lauren around, you know what I mean? All different types of brands around, you know what I mean? But I guess the way that our brands are marketed, we have to find a way of not letting social media fizzle it out of what's hot and what's not, because they don't do that with the other brands. Just because rappers stop wearing Balenciaga or Polo Ralph Lauren or stop talking about it in a song, that business is not going to go out of business. You know what I mean? That store is not going to close down.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they've canceled Gucci and they've canceled a whole bunch of other companies, and yet they're still thriving. Yeah. Matter of fact, let me ask about this: the whole Kanye situation, with Gap stealing his creative ideas and using his designs to make it their own. But these are his own personal designs. Now, personally, I said that, you know, he signed a contract. You've been paid. It is what it is. That's what happens. You've been paid off. That's what they do in contracts. Companies do what they do. But what is your perspective on things like that?
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you from, you know, I'm not going to tell you the social media way. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you from me being in the business for 30 years.
Yeah. So
my answer would probably would be weird to the average person that's not actually in the business. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you, like I told Vlad, basically in this perspective, it's like this. Every designer or every creative director takes it's creative from something. Mm-hmm. So again, if someone has, if this is a a fad, or if this is a design, or whatever it is, right? Every person is going to take it and twist it to their perspective. So there is no somebody stole my designs. Now, the only way somebody could steal your designs if you created this design and somebody actually physically grabbed the book that you put it in and stole it. That's stealing a design, because there's no trademark that you have on a design, unless, and only certain companies that have trademarks and where you can put this here, you can't put this here. I have 05. You cannot use 05 anywhere, any way, any shape or form. Right? So that's that. Now, you did a deal with the company, right? You did a deal with a company. You took Gap's sensibility is Gap's sensibility. Like, right? They have a certain stores the way they have certain stores. So I think that what really would happen was they wanted to kind of get out of this, get out of their deal with him, because they felt that he was basically probably over controlling. Again, and when you take a store that's clean cut, you have it, you have it set a certain way, and then you want to use your concept of garbage bags and put the clothes in the garbage bags, and regardless of selling or not, it's not the same. So I kind of think that was an inner thing, but social media, as you were saying earlier, is going to take stuff and magnetize it. And who's going to have the bigger voice? Not the Gap. So whatever Kanye says is going to go. Now, I appreciate Kanye from him trying to get into a business that he knew nothing about. And I commend him for actually achieving to the level that he's achieved. Now, I would have kind of moved a different way, but that's just on me. Again, a man's going to do what a man's going to do and move his own way. And he's still achieved. So, hey, kudos on him. So I say all that to say, I know when in the beginning he wanted to get into this high fashion, be all this, the same things that we're talking about regarding being Balenciaga, being that. But I think now he's realizing, what am I really doing? Let me just put my own money and do what I want to do, because he's going to win. But again, what we've done and what I've always done is been an entrepreneur about myself. I've always been like, look, I want to do something. I want something. I create a company. I know that media is the top thing. Media, who controls the media, controls the world. I'm going to start my own network. I don't want to be beholden to a group. I don't want to be down. I don't need to be down. I don't care if nobody likes me. I don't care what it is. I don't care if I'm doing what I want to do. And hopefully somebody does, understands it and deals with it. So I commend him, appreciate him, because it's hard. This business is not easy. And he's actually achieved what he's achieved. But when you make these strategic relationships and you do these collaborations, because that's what everything's about right now, you got to deal with the consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last remark, I don't know if you saw the video, but when he was holding the plate of food for that top fashion designer, have you saw that?
No, I didn't.
It really happens with Peter, Amy, Kanye.
I'm assuming that's Kim talking. Yeah.
Ribs and French fries.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was holding. Kim Kardashian had filmed it, and I don't think he knows that she was filming at the time. And then he kind of looked like
he looked at it.
He looked at it and he looked a little mad, but it was she was filming. They were in looked like a limousine or some type of stretcher or something, and he was holding a plate of food for this guy, this white guy who seemed for some maybe a top elite within the industry, and he was holding the plate of food while the guy had his napkin and was eating his steak and eating his fries and wiping his mouth with the napkin, and Kanye was just holding the plate of food for him. And I was thinking to myself, I know you have people part of clubs, you know what I mean? But it's different when you see it like, man, this is what you have to do in order to get in some of these rooms, because that's how they look at us already. Like you're only good for that. So just seeing that, I'm like, wow, I never knew that Kanye, a person of that stature, would belittle himself to hold a plate of food for someone. I know people have done worse things, but just saying, you know what I mean?
So I'm gonna give you a scenario. I probably would never go through that. But what I did once was I was trying to get into the media business, television business. There's a trade show called NAMIC, It's all of the urban brands, or urban meaning, or all of the Black kind of, all of the networks, right? Not just Black, but all of the networks. And I was just getting into the business, so I'm just learning it. I interned for that trade show. So I would go in all of the breakout sessions, and I would write down everything everybody's saying, go back and give it to this group, and they would write up things about what I've said. Right. Long story short, I wound up going to the dinner, met a lot of people at the dinner. 6 months, 9 months later, I wound up seeing the same people in the dinner in Comcast office in Philadelphia. And actually, I was about to get a channel on Comcast back about 9 months after that. And they saw me and was like, why do I remember you? I said, because I was there interning. So sometimes you do have to humble yourself in that respect. Now, what I have did all that, maybe it was a joke, maybe he was playing. I don't know. I never could judge a man. I would never do that. But I heard a story recently about what's his name? Fat Joe. And Fat Joe was talking about Khaled. And Fat Joe was talking about his wife, and his wife was like, yo, and he was telling his wife, like, I don't have that kind of money like Khaled does. So when I walk up to Khaled, I open the door for him, because that man got more money than me, and that's my brother, and I respect him. And there's another rule that I do: if whoever's at my guys, is who's ever has the most money at the table when we're all out and we're eating, pays the bill. So I can't discredit that man for what he was doing. Like I said again, maybe that was his friend. Maybe he was cool with him. Maybe he was.
Would you hold a plate of food? Let's just, if I see my husband,
there's some shit I wouldn't do, but I can't shake a stick at another man.
But that's just what I'm saying. If I'm out with my husband, and I see him holding a plate of food and the guy just grubbing, that just makes him feel a certain type of way.
I was going to get to it, because as a man, I'm supposed to be the head of the household. I'm supposed to lead my woman, and here I am with a plate of food in my hands, and I got another man eating out of my hands. I would expect to not even just record it, cut the record.
But look at it like this. Look at it like this. Look at it like this. Did it work?
But what? Okay, what's the cutoff point? Do you kiss a man? Okay, open up a door.
Now, what? Now, listen. We going into the weeds now, but let me say this.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that compromised themselves in certain situations. And not saying he did, not saying he didn't. Not saying anything. What I'm saying is that I'm a man that I don't give a freaking whatever, that I will start something. It took me 13 years to get this network off the ground. Why? Because I'm not going to be beholden to anyone. I'm not going to have to compromise myself. I'm going to work. I'm going to do what I got to do. But I'm come from a different school cloth. I'm from an old school background. I got to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep working.
Yeah.
So you're going to want me for me and respect me for me. Now, again, I tell you a story of interning. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to go on, what's that show that Puffy had a long time ago?
Making the band.
Make it a band and walk down to Younginz?
Nah,
son, I'm good.
Breast milk.
I'm good. I don't want it that bad.
Now, my question is, because were you interning after the Fubu had came out?
Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. I'm talking about years ago.
So that's what I'm talking about.
I'm who I am. I'm Fubu. I'm yes. And I'm sitting there interning because I'm trying to get into another business, because I want to learn what, right? And I want to be introduced to that. That's how I can get in that room.
Networking. Absolutely. And what I'm talking about, what you're saying, what you're mentioning requires drive as well. Because you can't, motivation will get you into certain places, but discipline to take you places motivation just can't. It takes discipline to make 380 million a year for about a 5 to 6 year span, and then sit back and intern knowing that you got money in the bank. You don't need the intern, but you're doing this because you, like you said, you want it that bad. You want it that bad that I sit back out, intern, sit in those rooms, be the fly on the wall, and collect information to see how I can take it back to the team and coordinate.
I know I'm gonna see you again.
Thank you.
Because I know I'm gonna see you again.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You know, certain people, they have to have that drive. I'm not saying that Kanye doesn't have it, but to be honest with you,
Kanye has.
Yeah. That's what I said. No,
hella drive.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
I don't know the man.
No. I'm not saying.
I hate speaking on the man I don't know. I'm sorry.
We gonna drive.
I'm with you.
That super drive.
Yeah, no, I ain't talking about just him in general. When I see things like what he did, I look at, you know, the Terry Crews situation, and I look at a whole bunch of other situations, even with Cat Williams mentioning certain things that he's mentioned. I listen to a lot of people in Hollywood in entertainment, especially in fashion, and they all seem to have some sort of story where they had to make some sort of compromise to get where they need to be.
Well, yes. But what I'm saying is not necessarily a compromise. What I'm saying is I'm attesting to your drive part. Yes, 100%. But
go ahead.
There's a thing that I feel 100% that the compromise part. I'm not compromising nothing. Period. I don't care if it takes 13 years, 15 years, 18 years, 20 years. Yep. It is what it is. God gonna give it to me when God give it to me.
And that's
I don't want it fast. I don't need it fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens is I think today a lot of people want it fast and they want it now.
Absolutely. How is it coming up when you first came out the gate? What did you start? What was the idea of Fubu? Because when I look at it nowadays, you hear for us, by us. If you were back in that time, you knew it was for us and by us. Most white people were wearing it, but it was normally Black people that were purchasing these clothes, minorities who were purchasing these clothes, who were rocking these brands, who were uplifting this brand and pushing it in the forefront. So what was your idea when you first got into it? Did you even think that it would get to the point that it got into today?
Well, you know, if you had all four of us or my other three partners, Damon, John, Keith Perry, and Carl Brown here, they would three say, "Oh, no, I didn't know. I just thought we would just be here. We would just, you know, sell a couple of t-shirts." I knew because I knew what I wanted to do because I had the vision to make it happen. So the story is, you know, Damon was making some hats. He had stopped making the hat. I saw the hat when I came home from the military. I had some money, and I said, "Listen, I wanted to be in fashion." And I gave him $5,000 of my $6,000 and started the company. So I had the vision because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to create a line. I knew I wanted to be in fashion. And I was actually escaping the fact that I was working at Macy's, and I quit and was like, look, the next time I walk in this place, I'm going to be selling to you. So I had to kind of fulfill that. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to be in fashion at that point. And they believed in me. They believed in what I was saying. And, you know, we hit it A.
Okay.
How has your marketing and branding technique changed over the course of 30 years?
My marketing changed. Yeah. You know, it's weird. You know, you have to always move with the times. And like you said earlier, you know, if we had social media back then, we'd probably be $1 trillion in sales at that point. But the thing for us is that, you know, we try to do, of course, the influencers, and we try to you know, do the social media thing, but it's hard because, again, you know, we had magazines, we still have billboards, we had magazines, we had word of mouth, and we didn't have so many people that. So many different brands, and I want to say brands, so many different people doing the same thing that we're trying to do. We had about 6, 7, 8 mega brands. Then we had some smaller brands, but we didn't have these brands, you know, off the internet, and we didn't have I want to say we had, how do I say this without sounding? Because again, I hate trying to offend someone, and I always kind of walk a fine line between.
Oh no, shoot, go ahead.
And I'm gonna say, so I'll just say it like this: today's person has a voice, but it's how you use your voice. So for us to market, it's like, for a while it was like, well, Fubu, that's old. So it's like, that's old. So what's new? So I remember having a conversation with someone who was like, well, so I was like, okay, if it's old, well, you don't like it. So what do you like? What do you like? Because I want to know, as a fashion guy, I want to know, what do you like? So the guy says he likes Lavin, and I'm like, Lavin? Okay, so what do you like about it? I like it, but and like, you really couldn't explain to me what he liked. And then he didn't look about who he was talking to. So then he looks and says, oh my God, I'm talking to one of the co-founders of Fubu. Now all of a sudden he wants a job. Now he wants to talk different. So it's really hard today to really get to a person and speak, because sometimes I feel like I'm speaking another language.
Yeah.
So marketing for us is just doing collabs and kind of getting back into the people's, grace. Because again, for a while, people was like, look, I ain't wearing no Fubu. I'm not wearing that.
Yeah.
And that's what made me go back and say, okay, what's the next thing? Streaming. Let me do Forest Bias Network. That way I can start introducing our brand back slowly. And that way, because everything's about a visual. And it's funny, I always laugh because the person that's actually having a negative comment usually has 2 followers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
And it's sad because, for them to say that, Fubu is old, that's fine. But like I said, like I mentioned earlier, y'all still wearing Gucci, Louis, Prada, and all of that. And that's older than that goes back as old as Polo.
Right. And it's because you have this skin. It's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And that's why I said, the whole idea for us, by us. Now, back then, it didn't mean much to me because I was a kid. But now as I think about it and I sit back and I, dwell on things, it means so much more to me now because there is nothing that is for us that's by us. That's the thing. You got a lot of clothing lines that endorse darker skin, people of our color and things of that, or come to the culture and try to eat off the culture and things like that. But it's not by us. You got a couple people in the office that's maybe advising them on what they need to do and things of that nature, but it's not.
Some cases, not at all.
I was just going to say,
Gucci, not at all.
Young generation. And this younger generation is led by social media. So how can you connect with them? Your first idea, I'd assume, was, let me get in the network. Boom. As soon as you got in the network, then you go down the page and it's for us, by us. But when they look that up and find out what it is, it starts to give them historical research. It gives them a reference for them to go back on and see the company, how it matured and what it is today. And that makes
them proud. What runs that whole, genre is the blogs, the podcasts, guys like you guys. Like that runs it. So if I can how do I keep in your mouth? How do I keep, you talking about me? Again, I don't, you can talk and go, oh, wow, what's up, OG? Or, oh my God, I don't know what you used to do, but what are you doing today? And today, that's what you have to do. You have to be doing something today. If you ain't doing something today, they don't really care. If blogs ain't talking about you, you're relevant, which is bad.
Yeah.
Today, I don't believe that, when you look at people that started or people that have made a way, I mean, you look at the comments that academics made, like,
I want to ask you about it.
I mean, listen, I'm not one to talk about something, but that, again, with the platform that academics has to me, he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do shock value and say these things just to get people to want, okay, now sit down with me. Let's talk about you and let's talk about it. You don't need to do that. Like, you have a great platform. People love you. I mean, it's every 5, 6, 7 years, there's a new one. There's a new guy that's going to take the same formula as someone else, say these things just to get someone to want to sit down with them or do whatever, and it all leads to the same end.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to transition to your network, but since you brought up that, I'll make one comment on that. I think and a lot has it to do with how things are marketed to us. So things are marketed to us by money, jewelry. That's how we associate. If you're broke, if you're successful, you know what I mean? And we don't have people like you or people that was in the business teaching about financial literacy in our culture. We only see ratchetness, people turning up, putting money to their ear, doing all this and that. When sitting here talking to you and just reading about who your dad was, it seems like you were a person of some sort of financial literacy. You know what I mean? In that nature. But that's not what we see all the time. That's not what's promoted in our culture. So when we speak out about something to explain it or lash out about it, we just go back to what we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and
I can make a point about this. Again, everyone, when you finally get to that plateau of I could actually buy something, I could actually get that, I could actually do that. You want to do it, and sometimes you do it in excess.
Yeah.
And that's what the book is about, really understanding. Once you have money, you have to understand what money is, what's the value of money. Even with my other book that I have, Building an Empire, it's not about just being an entrepreneur. You have to understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. And I think now, because of social media, I know to flip flop, but social media makes you look at everything on the surface because I heard it. I heard it. But it's almost like this. Everyone looks at the shiny object, but nobody knows how that shit got shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have people like you, like giving us the game. I remember at one point a couple years ago, people didn't want to talk. Oh, you gotta our people. I don't even want to say our people. I don't like using that word, but people don't like giving you the game, giving you the rundown, mentoring you. They don't like doing that at all. So when you come in and you make mistakes and you're ignorant about certain things, it's because people that came before us, they're so stuck on how they're living now and who their new set of circle is that they don't want to teach. And this is what happens to our culture in return.
And I believe that the pandemic had a huge impact on those brothers now, not only speaking, but I felt like they had no choice but to speak. See, a lot of rappers, they went to podcasts when the pandemic hit because they couldn't hit the road and make shows. So you have a lot of things. And Academics was making a response into what him and Ebro was into it about. Brother Ebro, they was, arguing back and forth about blackballing artists. But I do love the response that LL Cool J gave to Academics when he was speaking about, not only, just because we don't flash and things like that, don't mean that we're broke and we take care of the community. There are a lot of pioneers from back in the day that are doing things to give back. Even Carl Kanai, like we spoke about earlier, he's done a lot to try to help up and coming entrepreneurs that are trying to get into the fashion space, even with you having your network and things like that. So you do have a lot of what we would say OGs of the game giving back some game, but not as much.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna have to toot my horn a touch. To be real honest, bro, it doesn't matter if I don't sell another shirt in my life. Why do I say that? Because I'm in 5 museums. I got a wax figure of myself. I'm in textbooks. So I did enough. So so someone comes with their one t-shirt talking about I sold 500. Great.
Yeah.
Get in 5 museums. And I'm talking about real museum. I'm talking about choice. I'm talking about the one in DC, the big one in DC. I'm talking about a Great Black's Wax Museum figure. Talking about one in Europe. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But if I say that in a room, like a clubhouse setting, it's like, oh well, why he's saying all that? He don't need to say. So it's like you can't have it both ways. If you want me to help, I help. I was just in a clubhouse room, and I haven't been in a long time. I jumped in, and this woman was kind of getting at me, but the moderator said, "Look, okay, no, you're wrong. That's not like." She actually tried to help me out, so I appreciate that. But long story short, she was mad at the fact that I was saying that I was talking about people having jobs versus people who trying to be an entrepreneur, because I like to push entrepreneurship. It might not be for everybody, which is cool. But normally when I'm in those rooms, that's what we talk about. And it kind of came up. And then she was like, well, you acting like you all that. And I'm acting like I'm not acting like anything. I'm telling my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I wound up just getting off, and I haven't been on since. So it's like sometimes it's hard to even, try to be a beacon for other people. It's hard to even, tell people what they should be doing or telling them my damn mistakes.
Yeah.
And actually it wasn't really a mistake, because nothing was a mistake, because it got me to this point. So if I went somewhere else, I might not, if I didn't, quote unquote, as people would say, make that mistake, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if when I say stuff like that, it's like, so we can't have it both ways. It's either we're going to love it or we're not.
Yeah. And what you're talking about is so true, because I remember the situation where, Soulja Boy, speaking of academics, when Soulja Boy was on Everyday Struggle trying to explain his business plan to academics in the Deska, and they just couldn't understand it. They like, oh, you're just doing a lot of stuff online. You're wilding. He's like, no, I'm promoting my brands. I got a video game. I got this. I got that. I'm promoting myself. It was the same thing when Dame Dash was trying to explain to the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne them how he was working on his business and things like that. And like you said, there's certain times where you'll talk and that language just don't work for them because it's nothing that they've heard of. It's nothing that they've even conjured up in their brain. So it's hard for them to hear you speak about it, and they've never seen this thing before. Now, you may be able to demonstrate it and show it to them, but still, it's shocking, shock value to them. That it's hard for them to comprehend. But with the network, how did the network come about? Because we spoke a little bit about it, but how did it actually come about? Because I know you said you had the Comcast deal in play. What led you from Comcast to just going out and getting your own network?
Well, so basically Comcast, I had a what they call a video on demand station.
Mm-hmm.
We had a video on demand station with Comcast and Verizon. And what video on demand is, on all your TVs, you can go to this certain part where you could just kind of almost like, it's just like streaming in a way. But it did, but never really caught on. So I had that for years. And I tried to develop content, or acquire content. It was working for a while, and then it got to a point where I wound up getting my own app, things of nature. And then I wound up hooking up with another company that wanted to invest from overseas, and we tried to do a deal, and it didn't really work. So I kind of fell back a little bit. I still kept it going. I hooked up with a partner by the name of Rush Roberto Evans, who actually is one of the pioneers when it comes to reality shows. And we rebranded the company as Forest Bias Network. And then second to that, we started creating content. One of our content that we created was the Bucci Show. And the Bucci Show kind of got us a little bit notoriety. But again, how I did it and marketed, I never actually put it out. I put it on all the episodes on Instagram and through social media. And I pushed it through social media to get the kind of name out there, to get the name going and getting people to be more familiar with the brand, Forest Bias. And then I did another deal with Fox Soul for a cooking show with Charles Oakley. And then that got us some notoriety as far as us not necessarily being a production company, but we always put our imprint on there. So it was like Forest Bias. So we almost took over Fox Soul in that respect, with 4 hours of block time, because that's what we had. We had for a couple hours of block time on that. And then all of a sudden, that was the Forest Bias hour. And after that, we looked to do a deal, which we were going to buy a company. And then that didn't work out. But then I said, listen, let's either stop right now, and let's just do our own. So I said, listen, I come from the world of entrepreneurship. I've done my own since, for 30 years. Why should I not do the same when it comes to this? So I didn't want to be beholden to a company and having this content and having it on somebody else's network. They make money, I get some money. Okay, great. Now I just got a show. No, I want the whole network. I have a partner who's been on 13 seasons on the show, which is great. But if they want to tell him, okay, look, you're not on the show anymore, he's over. Me, I said, you know what? Let me own the whole network. That way I don't have to worry about anybody. So we're on Comcast. We're on Samsung TVs, Apple TVs, and the works. Like every platform we're on. So, and we have our own app and our own website and all that. So you can't tell me no. Like, I have make my own content, or I buy my own content. You can't do nothing to me. I'm not coming to another network or coming to someone and going, please listen to my demo.
Yeah.
How do you choose your content for your network? Is it a specific content that you're only looking to push right now, or is it this is just what you're choosing to rock with right now? I see you got
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what it is? No, listen. My demo from Fubu was 5 to 55, which is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think in a broad scope. I was thinking vision. I don't think in goals. I think in vision. So for me, my vision for Forest Bias was taking on the same mantra of content for everybody. Like, we all have different things. I mean, for instance, side chicks really is not necessarily about side chicks when it comes to me. Side chicks is really about an emotion, and it's tapping into an emotion.
Oh man, hold on, wait a second.
Now listen, brother. Now listen. My thing is that, because don't get me wrong, I love what you're doing over there. When I looked at it, when I first went down and scrolled through the content, I didn't necessarily pay it too much attention. I was looking at the previews for the shows, but I did sit back and start to watch some of these shows. And when I was going through the content, like Myra was talking about, I wouldn't necessarily say a theme, but even not just you, I seem to find this common concept between a lot of bloggers and a lot of networks, especially when it comes to Black people, that we are so caught up in selling us our own trauma. Is what I'm getting at. Because
like that's the only thing we want to like. That's the only thing we want to see. Like the only thing we want to hear and see, like all day, every day. You know what I mean?
Now let me point something out because I didn't finish.
Okay.
So again, I have content for everybody.
Yeah.
I have that because people want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't not give people what they want to see.
Yep.
I have series. This is my first kind of go around. A lot of stuff that I've had prior to, because we just started launching really on the 15th.
Okay.
So all my original programs, I have 5 reality shows. I have 4 scripted series. I have movies. A lot of stuff that you see now prior to that is just acquired content. Right? So as we go forward, the jury's still out to see all the other things that I have. I'm actually doing a deal right now. It's not set in stone, but God willing, as I say, it's going to work. It's going to work. So I'm doing a deal with all the HBCUs at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, juries you can't kill the messenger on the first thing he says, because that's the first sentence. There's more that's come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, and you're right, not killing the messenger, but just knowing, well, just, you know, like for you, like, okay, like with a streaming platform, to me, in my eyes, that's prestigious, because you look at things like, you know, Netflix and Hulu and things of that nature. And now we have the For Us By Us network, you know what I mean? So I was extremely interested to see. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, reality shows. I'm like, okay, it's going to be, you know, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay. Like you said, I'm not killing the messenger, but I'm like, okay, like, is there anything like anything else?
It's a thousand. See, because it's called side chicks, again, like I said, it taps into the emotion, so everybody talks about it. But that's just to grab a lot of people to talk about it, right? Now you talk about it either yes or bad or good or indifferent, right? But then you come. Now, what happens in my business is that I would have launched a series behind that, another series right next to that, right? Mm-hmm. But what happens is, when you film something, it takes about 9 months, 8 months, 9 months, and then it could take another 3 months for editing. So I'm backed up. So I had to go. So I said, let me go with side chicks first, and then I have a whole nother slate of other content. So it's going to get developed. It's more stuff that's going to come out. It's just that you only see that there. But if you look on there, there's a lot of other engaging content as far as movies and stuff like that speak to all different kind of things. So, like I said, it's just coming. We're just starting, and you know, I hope people love it. But what I will not do is be pigeonholed to just doing one type of content. I want to have something for everybody.
Okay.
I mean, I got criticism for doing the hold on 2 seconds. Saucy Santana.
Okay.
Is doing a reality show with Saucy Santana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now, all on the DMs. Oh, we want representation. I gave them representation. Now everybody's happy.
What do they mean?
But why do you have so why do creators have to move off representation when a lot of times? Okay, I can see. Okay, if those people are feeding you, yeah. If they're cashing you out, those are only people supporting your platform. And 9 times out of 10, it's just not. It's just people want to leave comments about what they feel should be on there, right? But it's just like the whole big deal of representation, I guess, doesn't really sit clear to me because who somebody chooses to be with behind closed doors. But what actually is the story that you're saying? What is it actually that you're trying to portray when it comes to that? Is it just representation in the sense that, okay, I want this group of people to say that, hey, I acknowledge who you want to be with. But what story is it that you're trying to tell? And
Well, I tell you this.
We've gotten away from art now. We've gotten completely away from art.
Not necessarily. What I feel is like this. This is for us. Us is a lot. It's us. Yeah. And we all have different facets. We all like different things. We all are different people. We all appreciate different walks of life. We all raised differently. Some the same, some not. Right. And I want to show representation of everybody. Mm-hmm. And no matter whatever it is. Now, if by that it said, oh, if I start getting, man, you don't have enough podcasts on there, I'm gonna go out and look for the best podcast.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Because it's us. It's not about me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's never been about me. Mm-hmm. Even the clothing wasn't about me. It's about us.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And when you say it's about us, I mean, the thing for me is more than anything, when I go down, not just your network, but like I said, especially anything that's Black owned, Byron Allen, Revolt TV, your network, things of that nature. I'm looking to see what's going to lead the next generation. Right. Now, no disrespect to you, because obviously, like you said, that's your first show and you still got more in the tuck. But most people, when they look at it and they see side chicks and things like that, I'm looking at it personally like, man, it ain't nothing but another detriment to the community. Ain't none of these folks married. No, ain't none of these folks in relationships. Exactly. Ain't none of these folks following God. Ain't
I hear you.
They're, not doing what we should do to try to raise the level of awareness in the community for the children that's on the come up. I don't want these young women thinking they have to be a side chick. And I don't want these young brothers thinking that they can have multiple women when they're dealing with a woman that they're sincerely with, who's giving their all to that man.
But let me say this. And I'm gonna break it down to dollars and cents. If I had, and this is truly the truth, which is so unfortunate, if I had every show about We Shall Overcome, I would be out of business in 2 days.
Yep.
But what's We Shall Overcome?
So unfortunate. So it's not about me making decisions based off of, and not necessarily I'm making decisions based off of money, because I do have a moral compass and respect. Mm-hmm. When I had to prove the show, I distinctly told my guys, I said, listen, guys, not to say I don't really want it. I understand what we have to do because we have to have representation, because it's different. Like somebody, a drug show. I grew up with down the block for me was Farmers Boulevard with nothing but drugs. Or people dying or whatever, stuff like that. I have to show it. Now, I'm going to show that, and I'm also going to show We Shall Overcome. And I'm also going to show the LGBTQ community. And I'm also going to show our triumphs. I'm going to show our failures. I'm going to show everything. Because I feel that content providers, content providers need a place to come and express themselves.
Yeah, 100% fact.
And that's why I'm here.
Well, and then not to say it has to be content of We Shall Overcome, but no, it could be your story. It could be Dame's story. It could be a Get Out story. It could be a sci-fi. It could be a Marvel thing. It doesn't have to always be We Shall Overcome, or it's either side chicks, or it's either this. No, it could be you. People want to see stuff like that. That's how we identify.
That's coming as well. But
no. Because like
the thing about this business is called editing, and it takes a long time.
I would know
that editing takes a long time. So, like I said, this journey just started, and I appreciate your comments, and I'm taking it to heart 100%. And again, if I had my way, I swear I wouldn't have put side chick out first.
I mean, listen, when I say
because I feel that a responsibility to put something out, maybe a little risque, but still more engaging, still more proper. But honestly, it's actually working that I did put it out first.
But I want
even my beliefs.
Yeah,
I want to talking about it.
No, absolutely. Gotcha. I want to get on this, and I want people to understand. I'm standing on this. Like when he says We Shall Overcome content, I need people to understand it's not we shall overcome, because you got things like Earn Your Leisure. You've got things like Joe Rogan and things of that. You have other spaces that can be profitable in a market. It's just, I feel like we're so used to our trauma and our pain and things that usually go on code, go with
not even trauma, but entertainment.
I
have a show that's coming out, and I'm actually hosting it. It's about me going to different businesses and not going to them going promoting, but I'm going in to understand how you even created the business. Like I'm unraveling the onion, and I'm going deep into that, because I've been in this business and I've been an entrepreneur for so many years. I just want to know, I want to stamp give you a stamp and say made, like you're made for us, by us. So I'm going to all different business. So like I said, there are shows that are coming out. And there's things I was in talks with a group that actually gets Earn Your Leisure their content providers, not content providers, but their puts them on their different platforms, right? I was in talks with them to figure out how we can do something, or we can do a collaboration where they can be on my platform. So I've already been talks to that. It's just unbeknownst to the world, because I don't really announce anything until it's actually done.
It's nice what you're doing, man, because you don't have a lot of stuff like that. And I guess in short, so what I was just saying, like you're right. You're gonna have to keep it trendy. You're gonna have to keep it this and that. But now it's like a landscape now of a variety of things that people are seeing that minorities and people of color are interested into. Look at how much Black Panther did. Look at how much Get Out did. Look what Spike Lee was doing. Look at that. It wasn't it's just like, it just has to be presented there for us. Like, how can I know about you if I never watched an interview of you or never watched your documentary or your life story or movie about you? How do I know I can do what you do? How do I know what I can be if I never saw that? You know, I saw I can be a basketball player. I saw I could be a man or a woman sleeping with different people being put out there, but I never knew that I could be in the comics. I never knew that, you know, I could do this. And it's crazy that that's how we perceive things. But no, it's just, man, like I said, we like what you're doing, and like you said, continue to be outside the box. And you know what I mean? As far as that, like you would be surprised of who will support it. Right. Seriously. Like,
no, absolutely. And you know, as an entertainer, like you said, he who holds the key to entertainment basically controls the world. So you got to understand, even though, you know, you're just starting out with the network and things like that, you are a network. And the bigger you get, the more eyes you're going to attract. With those eyes come influence. And you're going to have a lot of people, younger people, like you said, 5 to 55, you know, you're going to have a lot of people, especially 25 and under, they're very impressionable. And they're going to be, you know, they're going to be influenced by the things that they see on your network, along with blogs and other things. But those who are just, you know, tuning into your network, they're impressionable and they're going to be influenced by the things that they see. That's why I said, you know, not just side chicks, you know, but seeing a bunch of unmarried men or a bunch of men and women in, you know, fornicative relationships where they've been together for 13, 14 years and they still don't want to get married because they still want to go out in the streets and do what they do. Things like that.
But to add on what you're saying, Dave, and they keep running it. Think how long Love and Hip Hop been out. These I've been seeing stuff like this since I was in like my teenage years, and it's still, and now at a point it's like, okay, now it's getting played out because nothing's changed. It's like a different people in the script, but it's just like now they're pushing to see how further and further that they can go with it, and that's all you see. And so at a point you get turned off from it. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, I've been seeing this ever since I was in my teenagers.
And you know, they push it as if that's the narrative, when truthfully, you know, the rise of 2-parent households have come up in this world. You know, I know you were adopted, correct? But you were adopted in a 2-parent household, correct? Right. See what I'm saying? And the rise of 2-parent households is on the rise, especially in the Black community in today's day and age. CDC came out with a list of Black fathers being more active with their children, far as extracurricular activities, being there, showing up to games, picking them up from school and things like that. Black fathers do that more than any other race of people in the country. So there's things like that we just don't know because we're just being brainwashed. I'm gonna call it that, brainwashed with the stuff, the filth that we see on television, far as these, like you said, these love and hip hop shows and things of that, which don't get me wrong, a lot of those have good messages, but at the end of the day, the overall point in the structure of the show is chaos, and chaos gets us nowhere as a people. In fact, that's probably part of the reason why we're still in the predicament we're in. There's a lot of chaos going on, like Clubhouse. You got a lot of old ex-gang members and stuff like that reliving their glory days on Clubhouse, but they don't understand. They're talking to the youth, and the youth is hearing this, thinking that they're going to be able to come out with the same outcome.
And they're not coming up with a story behind that. Like,
they're not knowing that they're going to die before they even get to that age. You know, these dudes are in their 50s. They ain't there talking to you. You're barely going to be lucky to see if you make it to see 30. You know, things of that nature. If you're not in the box or behind bars, things of that nature. You got, you know,
one of the rally shows that I have out that's coming out. I did a scene, and I told myself I was going to be in any of them, but I chose to do this because my message was one wanted to a woman on their son died, was a rapper or whatever, and she wanted to like do t-shirts and do stuff and do a line for him. So I wanted to advise her. So I started advising her. And then one of the lines I remember I said to her, and I was like, the most dangerous job it seems to be nowadays is being a rapper.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, it is.
Unfortunately.
It is, man.
And after I did that scene, I was like, shit, I was right. And I hated to be right. I felt bad that I was right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, shit, I just said that.
Yeah.
And I was right. I was like, yo, what are we doing? Again, and I hate to be, I don't want to, it's a responsibility that is so, you know, because I don't care about the money. Money is not the thing. Although as an entrepreneur, I care about a successful business more than I care about the money. So I'm like, I do have responsibility. I do care about the responsibility, and I'm trying to be responsible as much as I can in the circumstances I have. Like, again, I know that if I do this, now there's ratings behind a lot of the shows, a lot of things that I have. And for instance, comedy doesn't mean to do well. You would think comedy does well.
Right.
You would think, what else doesn't really do well? So who do you think watches television more, women or men?
I would say women.
Of course, women do. So you have to have a ton of women shows.
And you know,
it has to be drama. It has to be an arc. It has to go up and down. It has to be conflict. If it's not that, nobody's going to watch it. Now, it's an urban network. I'm only catering to urban, period. It is what it is. That's it.
Yeah.
So how do I give you guys what you want? I have to try to give it to you and give you something that I'm going to catch your eye, and then hopefully you'll look at the other stuff. And you'll go like, wait, there's a balance. Wait, you know what? Maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I'll show you that cat fight, but then you see another fight and then you're like, well, this girl just went to jail. She's dead. Now what? What did that lead to?
Yeah. No, you know what? As you're talking, I completely understand, because when we started off interviewing like strippers and, you know, just rappers and just sticking in that genre, right? Because we're like, okay, this is what we're used to seeing. This is what the people want to see. They want to see the strippers get interviewed about what they do in the club, how much money they made, what they see, and then, you know, the rappers. But then slowly we started getting into interviewing different people doing different things, and we were surprised about how much support that got. You know what I mean? Like, we're sitting here with you. If there was no demand of anything like this or anything like that, my brother probably would have never reached out. You know what I mean? Right. We probably would have tried to find some more strippers or, you know, people of that nature. But you would be surprised of the things that's what's supported and whatnot. Like, we thought that no one wouldn't want to hear about Jesus. You know what I mean? God said he died and he went to hell and Jesus, and you were surprised. We were surprised.
I say that all the time too.
Yeah, we were surprised at how that took off. We like, well, shoot, we would have started, you know, if that's the case. But no, I see exactly what you're saying is like a case of a trial and error. So
no, absolutely. I remember she called me one day and she was just like, you know, we need to shut it down. Like, this ain't what I planned for. She going down the playlist on YouTube. She just like rapper, stripper, rapper. This ain't what I planned for. This wasn't the vision. And we started off, like you said, for us, by us. We started off by wanting to give a name to the nameless, a voice to the voiceless, because you got a lot of talent out in the streets. that aren't being picked up. I seen a TV show where there's a woman walking around doing interviews with people in the subway, something like that. That's pretty much what we were on. We were under the mindset that, all these artists out here who aren't being advertised because they're not in the system. They're not with the payola. They're not being advertised like that because they're not signed or anything like that. Doesn't mean they're not talented. They're just not being pushed. So why don't we come up with a network where we can push those people? But at some point in time, we looked, and like she said, we made the switch. And the switch that we made, the first time we made it toward gearing it towards business. But she's right. The moment that we made a switch and just gave ourselves to God and made that full switch, it went completely upside down because we never thought it would come out like this. And now we're able to sit down with people like you and things like that, have these open conversations, even talk to other people and, give them hard questions or just ask them things that people are just afraid to ask them.
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. You know what I mean? It's like a trial and error. You got to see what works and what not works. But man, like I said, we congratulate you on what we do. It's not often we see somebody of color in a position like this. You know what I mean? It's like almost if like somebody was the president of the president of the United States, right? When Barack Obama first got in, people was just so happy it was a black man. But then when you think about everything that he passed and what he put in the country, like it, just because he was black, was he really for us? Did he, think about the laws that he actually passed and what the position that we're in now? And so like with you, I know it's tough because you're right. The ratings is weird. Sometimes you got women watch things more, men look at this. So yeah, I get it. And I'm not trying to come down on you, but
please. I'm here for it. Please tell me. I love to hear somebody's opinion. I'm not one to even, no matter what it is what it is. And again, I want to hear that feedback because again, I want to make myself better. I want to make the network better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, it's crazy for us that when we made the transition, like she said, one of our interviews about a brother dying and seeing God and things like that and seeing Jesus and then coming back to life. When we made that transition, we didn't understand that at that point in time, there was a transition amongst people who were moving that way. People aren't necessarily all going to Jesus or believing in God, but everyone's looking for a way out. They're all looking for something to rely on higher than themselves. So for us to be able to not only have a platform, but to also be able to push the Lord's message and give them that and do the best that we can with these testimonies that we get and these testimonies that we put out, not even, people would think, like, I remember we put out a.
Well, do you believe in Jesus before we get out of here? Do you believe in Jesus?
1,000%.
Listen,
Amen.
listen. Now, listen. A lot of people say they believe in him, but
if I ain't believe in Jesus, when it took 13, I wouldn't be sitting around here 13 years trying to figure something out. He said, "Wait, I want to go now." He said, "Wait, I want to go now." He said, "Wait," and I waited.
Yeah, because his plan.
And again, I did it the right way.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right, man.
As you should, brother. And that's the thing, I think a lot of people need to understand, having that instillment in your life. Because like you said, how do you get through 13 years of waiting for that moment? You could have easily
compromised.
In the wilderness. Yeah. In the wilderness. You could have easily done a lot of things to come up out of there, but you stayed the course. Which is hard to do, especially in this industry.
How do you keep your morals? So like you got, you clothing brand, business partners, you're in the industry, men, women, money, cars, jewelry, your network. How do you keep a sense of morals about yourself?
My guidance. How do I answer this question? I remember I answered by this way. When I first started Fubu, right? I used to say, "Thank you. How are you, sir?" Even to today. Hello?
Yeah, I'm
there?
Yeah,
picture went out. I say, "Thank you. How are you, sir?" I'll say, if I see you first, I'll come up to you and I'll say hello to you. I call everyone sir. I call women ma'am. And that's how I was brought up. Some people look at it weird. Some people look at it like, what the heck? I don't know. It doesn't matter, but I'm always going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always going to try to do the right thing. Because I never want to look over my shoulder and have someone say, you owe me or anything like that. So I'm just going to keep going, doing the right thing and doing it. And one thing I'm going to reveal there's a lot of times, and this is more of a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will go celibate for or 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. I even been celibate for a year once.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of cleans me out because I stay focused on what I have to do and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not running around, all up in the video, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Now,
and in the videos trying to get the
and it keeps you focused. So if you keep yourself focused, you have vision, and you stay straight to what you have to do and where you have to go, then you never have a problem worrying about being all over the place.
Now, before we get out of here, 30 years in the industry, keeping your morals, keeping your foundation, steady prospering and growing in the industry, finding new ventures to get into and things like that. I want to ask you a question because I've seen that, at one point in time, you lost over 8 million, or you just wasted $8 million, $20,000 a month in the clubs alone, things of that nature and stuff like that. At what point throughout your journey do you feel was your lowest point in your journey, and how did you come out of it?
My lowest point in my journey was when people were criticizing the brand after I put all my life, blood, sweat, and tears into it, saying that I would never wear that. I don't want to wear that. It's ugly or whatever. That was my lowest point because from then I sacrificed so much. I mean, from day one, I had the vision to have to start this daggone brand, and I put in years. I didn't, I'm not married. I have no kids, none of that, and I sacrificed all that for you, and you want to look like I just started yesterday. Like, who are you? And that hurt. And that's the only thing that really hurt. Other than that, I value everything that ever went wrong or right or whatever in my life, because it got me just today, because I had to believe in Jesus Christ, God, Lord, my Savior, all that, to know that I'm going the right way and the right path.
Now, last before we get out of here, and that was a great question, Mojo, and I just want to piggyback on that. So in regards to what he was saying, and you, like I said, you've been in the game 30 years plus, seeing how everything has shifted, and you contemplating on, should I leave? Should I pack my tool bag up? How hurtful is that? Something like you just said, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and to see that I perhaps can no longer compete. It's almost like Tom Brady saying, I want to retire, but that love that you feel, dang, I won't come back for one more year. It's almost like Serena saying, I want to retire, but it's hard to walk away, and I'm going to do one more game. Like, how, what is that heart feeling like?
Well, like I said, like you said, like I was just saying, it hurt. But I think that because when you walk the right path, it leads you to another journey. And I think that now, if I did that, I'm on another journey when it comes to Forest Bias Network. Mm-hmm. Now I can speak to the kids. I can't speak to kids anymore with clothing. I got to speak to them another way.
Yeah,
because it's the bigger forum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And now I have, what I mean? It's a bigger forum, and I'm gonna lead you to another way. Now you're gonna get to them this way.
Before we get out of here, do you have any upcoming events coming out as well as shows coming out on the network?
So I have okay, so my lineup is this. I have a show called Whole Phase.
Okay.
It's about 3 women. They're a family. It's a grandmother, based off a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. And they basically primarily all had babies at 16. So it's a cycle. So how do you break the cycle of the grandmother acts a certain way, the mother acts a certain way, right? So that's the whole triumph. I have another one called Force's Law after that, and I have another one called Cocaine Sisters.
Okay.
And it's all about the triumph and how how you grow up in that kind of era and what you do. I have the Monique show. I have Saucy Santana. And I have the Side Chicks LA's coming out, and it looks like we'll do probably Miami. It looks like Miami won the vote for the third one.
Okay.
All right,
and then I have a movie with 50 Cent's son coming out, and a few other projects that are in the works, but I can't really talk about right now.
There we go.
All right,
listen,
man.
I appreciate you, brother. Everything that you've dropped on us, all the information that you've given us, everything that goes into what you've done. Like I said, it's a blessing for you.
And willing to drop jewels, you know what I mean, of it. A lot of people don't like doing that. You know,
No, like most people, a lot of things, like especially when it comes to questions about the LGBTQ or things like that, I don't have any issues with any of them. I'm not against them or anything like that. I'm not against any people. I got love for all people. What I'm against is sin, the same thing that God is against. So I don't look at gay people and be like, oh, they're so evil, because I'm looking at the smoker who smoke a cigarette the same way. I'm looking at the man who drinks the bottle of liquor the same way. So there's a lot of misconceptions.
There's no judge. There's no judge over here.
There's no judgment. You know what I'm saying? We're just asking simple questions. That's all. Because you have a lot of people in the industry that claim God this, God that, God this, God that. But you got to remember, the devil's the God of this world. So what God are you praying to? Because you can't say you love God and then you're out here having threesomes, got on to $125,000 worth of jewelry, but refuse to give the water boys a $10 bill. Things of that nature, stuff like that. So, there's a lot of things that go into it. Another thing I do want to ask you before we get up out of here, with your situation that you've got going on right now with the network and everything like that, what is it that you look forward? What shows are you looking forward to producing? What content are you looking forward to producing moving forward and things like that?
I think the number one, of course, is Little Vanity is, the Fubu story, to be honest. I think that story will change the world or change the landscape of how even people look at anything, because the things that we went through, the time we went through, the camaraderie, the fights, the this, the that, the stages of rap, the stages of the culture that we've gone through, transcends 30 years. So, I don't even know how we have to do it in this series at this point. And it'll show everything all in one. So all the things we talked about today, it'll show it all in a series. That'll be 3 or 4, 13-part series, because it's that long.
Yeah.
That'll be dope.
I think really looking for something like, I really might wait for that. It is between that series or a doc first. I'm looking to produce it myself. My partner Damon has some of the people that's looking at it. So we're going back and forth to see which one is the better situation. So when that comes out, that's what I'm really looking for. And I'm really looking towards, and on a side note, if I talk about something else,
I
want something about, to be honest, about adoption.
I was going to ask you about that before you get out of here.
Because it's a hurt feeling. It was always a hurt feeling inside about someone that's adopted. We have these things that we go through. And there's a lot of detachments that we have. There's a lot of refocus. We focus more on certain things. There's a lot of times we just sit there and like we don't know who we are. A lot of times we don't care. We just moving in the circle that we're moving in. It's really weird. And I want to do something about that or with that. Not necessarily to go off and try to find your parents, but get back to the fact of what happens as an effect when you are that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
talking about right there.
The meat part. I always used to the girth. I want the meat of it. I don't care about the flashy. I want to know what really it is. And I want to show that part, because
that's
a lot of us.
Yeah, no, I mean that was going to be my next question before we get out of here, because I am adopted as well, and I've got. So
you know.
I know. How we do. I got a brother. I got a brother and 2 sisters out here. I got a set of twins, a brother and a sister, and then I got a younger sister. My mother and my sister actually were pregnant in the same year, so my niece and my youngest sister, are the same age, and I haven't seen them in years. I haven't seen them since we were kids. My grandmother got adoptive custody of as many of us as she could, but my mom had 8 kids, so 3 of us still were left out, and I've never been able to reconnect with them. I've never been able to find them. That's one thing that I was going to ask you. Have you ever were you able or ever able to connect with your siblings?
I never tried, and I don't think I ever will, because I'm happy with who I'm with. I love my family, the family that I'm with, and I really don't care to even look, to be honest. And I think the harsh reality of it is I've done so much in my life. If you ain't come look for me, I'm good.
I feel you. I understand that.
I need one more person I got to give a shirt to.
Listen, I feel you on that, brother. I mean, I ain't gonna stunt to you. I am still in pursuit of my siblings. I want
you feel it, right? You feel
no. That's why I say I know exactly.
That bitterness. That's that bitterness.
I know exactly
what it is, but I want to capture that.
Yeah, I mean,
I just told me out. I was like, oh man, don't get me thinking about that. I get mad.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's how I used to be too. I used to get mad thinking about it. You know, all of us were in a foster system at some point. All my family, we were in a foster system, and slowly but for surely, my grandmother did the best she could to get all of us out of adoption, and she just adopted as many of us as she could. But like you said, I still have siblings out there that we grew up with in our grandmother's house, but eventually my grandmother couldn't keep custody of all the kids. So they had to go back into the adoption system and went into the farming system, I call it, and they're gone now. And I can't do anything because, you know, once you're adopted, they seal the records and it's over.
No, stop right there. Stop right there.
With the group.
There's a company. Now the law has changed. So you can. What state are you in?
Illinois.
I don't know. I know in New York, the law has changed. So you can find it. You can do that. You can go to your local place where you got adopted. You can go in there and you can request the records and they'll send it to you.
Okay, say no more. I'm gonna get on that then. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like stuff like that. How you just brought out that, you know, like you want to do something with that. That'll be dope.
Yeah,
that'll
absolutely.
be dope, man.
You know,
like,
even when we were talking
like Antoine Fisher did good.
Yeah, I love that movie. I cried in that movie.
Yeah, it was.
And I actually met him.
Oh, really?
I met him. We talked about it.
Okay.
And we talked about it. He was telling me all that. He was like, "Wow, it was crazy."
Yeah.
A story about it was a real story, a true story. And he was telling me, man, I kind of wish I didn't do it, man. He's like, I got this. I had my niece and stuff come over, and they were so bad. I was like, you gotta go. Come get me.
Yeah,
well, I forgot if it was a niece or somebody came up, but I spoke to him and it was funny. It was funny, but we laughed and joked. But it's real.
Yeah, come out with those stories, man. Hey,
yeah, get those testimonies and share.
You know how many adopted and foster kids it is in the world.
You know,
DMC, but he went to see. He found his. I think one of the shows. He was on one of the shows and they found his adopted parents and all that.
Wow.
I mean, the only way I would really want to know. On the reason why I want to know it, because there's a question that people always ask you, what's the history of whatever in your family? And I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know if I'm going to be like, I'm slim. I've been slim forever. Am I going to stay slim? Like, that's all you really want to know. Other than that, I'm good because you made your decision. It is what it is. And you might have made the best decision for the time.
Yeah.
And if I do meet you, I just want to let you know you did a good job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, honestly, what I'm gonna be on the lookout for from your network at some point, not just your network, but any network, somebody in a Black urban network, will you please do your best to try to give us another Cosby type of situation, please?
Yeah,
like
we did the see. Here's the thing. Now let me tell you what happens, right?
Oh,
I would go off and get the Cosby Show, right? Because we did the Cosby line, so we know, and we know the Cosbys. I know cousins and all that stuff. Like I can try to go get it, but then what's gonna happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna get backlash. Oh, he's a this, he's a that from all the women's groups. Yeah. So a lot of times we take a position, but we don't know that there's reasons why we can't do it. But you won't. Which is beautiful about what you guys are doing right now is because you're getting the meat. You're getting the story behind the story. So now we can understand why that person made the decision and why they didn't have this and why they didn't have that. Yeah. So I love what you guys are doing.
No,
hey, thank you. We appreciate
you, brother. Absolutely, man. And when I say the Cosby Show, I mean Family Matters.
No, I'm saying I would love to have it.
We need some structure, give us an old, give us anything, I'm saying, give us some with structure, just.
I will try. I promise you, I will try to figure that out.
We appreciate you, man, coming out, giving us some of your time, spread.